Hello, and a warm welcome to this week's edition of Brain Gist. Today, I'll be adding just a few more things that I think you need to know about Alzheimer's disease. I talked to you a little bit about Alzheimer's disease in last week's video because this month has been dedicated as the month to enlighten the world about Alzheimer's disease, which currently affects about 55 million people and has been projected to quadruple by the year 2050 if we do nothing about it. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for watching all the time, for returning viewers. And for first timers, I welcome you to Brain Gist. This is where people get enlightened about the brain and the disorders affecting the brain, and they get essential information about how to improve the quality of their lives in spite of having these disorders. All right, I talked about the fact that Alzheimer's disease is a leading cause of dementia, and that dementia is that disease that makes people lose the power of their minds or their brain power. They're no longer who they used to be. I found like a better way to describe Alzheimer's disease or dementia so that you can better understand it. You can liken it to a computer whose central processor or central processing unit has been corrupted. So you can still see the hardware. It still looks like a complete computer, but you can't interact with it. So you try to type on a keyboard, you can't put in any information on the monitor, and it can't produce any output. That's what happens in dementia. So this individual, the frame is still there, but they can't register any information, they can't interact in a meaningful way, they can't learn new things. So it's a very, very frustrating disease. So these individuals who have the Alzheimer type of dementia, the crucial thing is that they can't remember. That's probably the earliest manifestation. They lose memory of important things that happened just last week, important events in their lives, and progressively it continues. And it gets to a point they can't move around in previously familiar surroundings. They can't get around without help. And over time, other things set in. They're unable to make vital decisions. They neglect themselves. They're unable to care for themselves. They're unable to hold meaningful conversations or judge properly or make calculations or carry out day-to-day activities without help. All right, and then I talked about some of the risk factors for Alzheimer's disease, and I emphasized in middle life from the age of 50 and above how one shouldn't neglect hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol. These are the three musketeers that tend to, over time, cause progressive damage to the brain, which accumulates over time and cause dementia on their own right, or enhance the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease in those who are prone to it. However, in middle life, we must take these issues very seriously and make sure that if we've got them, hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol, we must make sure we take medications correctly and all the time and see a doctor regularly to make sure that these factors are controlled. And then we must also screen for them to make sure that it's detected if present, because some of these things are there and they do not show symptoms, and they cause gradual damage that accrue over time and eventually lead to dementia. I also thought I did not talk about the role played by excessive alcohol intake, and I think I need to mention that. Hopefully in some future videos I'll be able to emphasize what the safe limit for alcohol should be vis-a-vis the safety of our organs and the brain. So excessive alcohol intake can also multiply the risk for Alzheimer's disease and can even in its own right cause, it's a separate kind of dementia, but that's left for another day. And then we must drink in moderation. That's the essence. And smoking is also important because smoking can actually multiply cardiovascular risk, cause either overt or covert stroke. When I say overt or covert, that means either manifest stroke or subclinical stroke, or asymptomatic stroke that accumulate, or silent strokes that accumulate over time to lead to dementia. And then I mentioned, but I need to further emphasize the role of cognitive stimulation in the later years, from 60 and above. Our elderly subjects or senior citizens would need to continue to stimulate their brains, and that can also help to delay or even prevent, as it were, the onset of Alzheimer's disease or dementia. So they need to continue to be active mentally and socially. They need to continue to read. They need to continue to stimulate their brains, learn new things, learn new languages, learn new skills, talk to people, and be active and interact. This is extremely important to keep the brain active. Isolation isn't good. Social isolation and cognitive isolation aren't good. Now, how do we treat Alzheimer's disease? Actually, we cannot cure this disease. It's a progressive disease, unfortunately, and it's inexorable. So what we do a lot of times is we tend to approach things based on symptoms. So for those who've got, severe memory, or let me say, clinically important memory impairment, then we tend to give some medications to boost memory function. And then for those who are becoming aggressive, we can give some medications to tone down the aggression. For those who are unable to sleep, we give some medications to help them sleep. And then we teach the family how to, better care for these individuals, how to modify the home environment to make it safe for them so that they don't fall and they can get around. Then all the support that they need to have, we tend to guide in all of these areas and then approach things based on the need of the patient. But more recently, probably in the last couple of months, there has been some new medication called Aducanumab, which has just been released and approved by the Food and Drug Administration of the USA, which is being, used now in those who've got Alzheimer's disease, which is believed to be able to bind the causative protein, like I mentioned in my previous video, that there's a protein called beta amyloid that deposits in the brain of those who've got Alzheimer's disease and damages the brain cells. So this medication is very, very expensive. It's given about once a month or so, or once a week or thereabout, and it's infused into the veins, and it's able to bind these abnormal proteins and reduce its deposition within the brain. So, it's yet to be proven it's yet to be proven to be useful in altering the progression of the disease. So, but that's the new thing in the landscape of treatment of Alzheimer's disease. But time is going to tell if it has any meaningful impacts on the lives of patients. So this is all I have to tell you guys today. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, please give a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe and also put on your notifications so you can get all of the future videos I'm going to be releasing. So thank you so much again for watching today, and I hope to see you in my next video. So bye and stay safe.